This is the Fairview Bridge. At least, it's the model we have here in the Lewis and Clark Trail Museum. This is the real one. Built in 1913, the Great Northern Railway Bridge 3.2 became a historic site in 1997, as registered by the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. Having shut down from operation in the 80s, it's been a location of tourism, senior pictures, and even a movie. This place is nearly flooded with rich history. That's why it's so special to speak to one of the people who worked at the station when it was still running. This is Don Tank. He worked the gate that allowed highway traffic through here. Now replaced by the new Cartwright Bridge, the highway used to follow the line you see here, and go across the Fairview Bridge. Mr. Tank worked right around here, in an old boxcar that was refurbished as a station box. We'll let him explain more about what the summer of 1952 was like when working at the railway station.
I was on the extra board, which is filled vacations and vacancies. It was close to Alexander, so I can drive over there. There's no place to stay there. They get Fairview on the other side. It was about 2-3 miles across the valley. It wasn't a job I really appreciated, but they got paid, so. It was open all night. But once in a while the guys would go to sleep. You got to be, I worked afternoons there, and I never had to work nights. I'm glad I didn't, because it put you to sleep just sitting there by yourself. There was no telegraph in there, and no telephone. They had a city phone run over to the depot at Fairview, and they would call you up if they needed something railroad-wise. But other than that, you didn't have anything to do with the movement of the train. It was mostly to the gates, the gate down there about a quarter mile.
This bridge is actually one of two nearly identical lift bridges within 10 miles of one another. The Snowden Bridge goes between Roosevelt and Richland County in Montana. This is one of the only pictures we could find of either bridge operating the lift system. Mr. Tank explained off camera why this was seldom done. You see, steamboats were the main reason why the bridges would need to lift, in order to get out of the way of the stacks on the top of the steamboat. Sadly, by the time the bridge was complete, steamboats were phasing out and being replaced with diesel-powered ships. In fact, by the time Don Tank worked there in 1952, the cables to the lift bridge were completely tied up, and the lift was out of commission. I'm here right by the Fairview Bridge in roughly the same spot that Don Tank used to work. Now, the old building is no longer here, but I wanted to be able to come here and see it myself. Sadly, I wasn't able to get anyone else here to help me film due to the air quality, so I apologize for the slightly less polished version of this video. So what used to be the highway is now a completely walkable path right along down to the bridge. The Fairview Bridge connects to the Cartwright Tunnel, the only railway tunnel ever completed in the great state of North Dakota. The tunnel and bridge together make for a wonderful place to spend the day, or shoot a film. This iconic shot from the film End of the Rope was filmed in this tunnel and across the bridge. The visual is so striking it's even used on the DVDs we have in our gift shop. One can only imagine how truly magnificent the bridge must have been in its heyday. But, thanks to Don Tank, we have a little better understanding of such a historic part of North Dakota. Now filled with graffiti, this tunnel once allowed both trains and vehicles alike to be able to travel through this area. You can still walk through it, see it, and understand what it may have been like to actually have been here. The Tank family is actually from Alexander. In fact, Don Tank's father, Otto Tank, had a shop in downtown Alexander called the Alexander Meat and Grocery, later franchised by the Red Owl Agency, which has since become our local hair salon, Hometown Hair. Don himself went to school here when the museum was still an operating schoolhouse, and lived nearby.
Where was your house? Where was your home from Alexander?
My home? Right across the street. Solomons live on the one side. And
Right.
we lived there for a while. And then my folks moved a house over from Rawson.
Okay.
And that sits on that corner south of, across the street from the Solom house.
Okay.
So those two houses is where
Yeah.
I spent my lifetime in Alexander.
Okay. Cool.
Should we ask him how many times he was late to school?
Oh, I kind of cut it down to the minute.
That's
I was
great.
not there early.
Standing outside of Don Tank's old home, I'm walking back over to the museum where he would have gone to school. Now, because he told us that he would oftentimes cut it to the last minute, I'm curious as to how long it takes to simply walk over to the building. So far, we're only about 30 seconds into the walk, and I'm already going past the tractors and flagpoles. So, even just with a normal walk, I think he could make it to school on time. It's going with the last minute, which I think is a funny little detail about his story. Because of Mr. Tank's contributions to the community and our museum, the lean-to building of the museum was named in his family's honor 2 years ago. This is where our cars, engines, and fire trucks reside. It is a testament to the innovations of transportation and the people who help facilitate it. The everyday working people like Don Tank. Building is now named after you. So it's called the Tank Building.
You can you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything that you really want to take a look at in here?
You were gonna move the railroad stuff in here, so what's
Yeah.
the concept for the
I'm trying to remember.
transportation?
Yeah, so we were thinking of making this area more about transportation. So these might get moved, and then we'll bring the railroad stuff over here, so that the railroad stuff that you have a connection to is in the building named after you. And then all of this will be about transportation through the years.
Remember that old International? There's quite several farmers had them around here, but I don't remember who it was. But they were still using them.
That's Marachik's International.
So yeah, that one does still run, and it's usually run in the parade on Old Settlers as well.
Which one?
The Old
Oh, the
International.
International?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty sturdy.
This is the director of the museum. She's a new director this year. Her name is
Hello,
Vicky. She's
Mr.
my
Tank.
mom. We at the Lewis and Clark Trail Museum would like to thank Don Tank and his family for coming out and seeing our museum and allowing us to record this history. Thank you for watching, listening, and staying tuned for this video. Please come on by the Lewis and Clark Trail Museum, honoring our elders and preserving our past.